now we'll move on to the Southwestern Conference, which we had some fun games. And I'll tell you what, we start off with the Avon Eagles taking on Avon Lake. And Avon was looking for revenge in this game after last year's playoff loss versus the Shoremen. And Avon would start with Tony Eberhardt on a 6-yard run. David Orlando had the kick after, and it was good. It was 7-0, and you'll hear David Orlando a lot because he did a little bit of everything in this game. Avon Lake would respond, and it was quarterback Jack McCulloch with a 10-yard run. The kick was no good, so it's 7-6 Avon after 1 quarter of play. Then it was all Avon after that as Mark Steinmetz with a 4-yard run. Kyle Kudla, a 19-yard pass from Ryan Malloy. It was David Orlando on a 35-yard field goal. Then David Orlando with a 15-yard touchdown run. The final score in this one was 31-6. Avon defeats Avon Lake. They improved to 3-0 and will travel to North Olmsted as Avon Lake falls to 1-2 and will host Westlake next week. Avon quarterback Ryan Malloy, he was 11 of 15, 120 yards passing, 1 touchdown and 1 interception. Now for David Orlando, he was Avon's running back. He ran for a touchdown. He kicked a field goal. He kicked all the extra points, and he caught 4 passes in the game as a wide receiver. I believe Avon's kicker went down, and Orlando kind of assumed that role, so he'll be doing a little bit of everything for them. And I know Coach Mike Elder got to be happy to have a guy like that on the team that can pretty much do everything for you. So Avon, again, a big winner, 31-6. North Olmsted traveling to Midview, and this game was pretty slow starting as Seamus Higley hooked up with Ben Gendix for a 64-yard touchdown pass to start things off to give the Middies a 7-0 lead with 4:05 left in the first quarter. Then it was 3-and-out for North Olmsted and a punt in which it appeared to hit a Midview player, according to all kinds of different reports who were at this game. But the refs didn't see it and blew it dead. It stayed Midview ball when it clearly hit the Midview player. Well, Midview capitalized, scoring on the first play of the second quarter on another Seamus Higley touchdown pass to Ben Gendix, this time from 31 yards out, giving the Middies a 14-0 lead. North Olmsted did score with a Liam Fay touchdown pass from 4 yards out with 9:37 left in the game to prevent a shutout. The Middies, though, they dominated from start to finish and win in this one 42-6 over the Eagles of North Olmsted. Seamus Higley threw for 213 yards and 5 touchdowns in the game. Connor Wolf ran for 115 yards on 13 carries. Midview improves to 3-0 and will take on another very good opponent in Amherst. The Eagles fall to 2-1 and will take on Avon next week, or actually Friday. Amherst versus North Ridgeville. And Amherst, they come into the North Ridgeville with a 2-0 record. North Ridgeville 0-2. And it was the story of running back Kennedy Scagliazzo, who it seems like we talk about every week. And he started right where he left off, barreling into the end zone for a 3-yard touchdown run to start the second quarter. It was 7-0 Amherst. He also had 3 other scores in this game. He tallied a pair of 3-yard touchdowns along with a 35-yard score and a 7-yard score in the game. The Rangers, though, they were there until halftime, and then they kind of fell off a little bit. Again, for the Rangers, it seems like North Ridgeville mounts some nice drives, and they stall with interceptions. And again, it happened against Midview there, and then a drive that ended with an interception in the end zone in the second quarter was Matt Steinmetz. He finished 16 of 25 for North Ridgeville, 267 and a touchdown. That occurred midway through the fourth quarter, finding Forrest Croxton, the tight end, for a 9-yard score. But that's all the North Ridgeville Rangers could mount. There was that interception in the end zone in the second quarter that, again, they seemed like they just couldn't mount anything after that. Kennedy Scagliazzo had 33 carries for 197 yards and 4 touchdowns. His backup running back, Joey Tamaro, he had 13 carries for 124 yards. And new head coach Mike Passarello, what a job he's done. He was with Firelands for 6 years. Now he improves the Comets' record to 3-0, while the Rangers fall to 0-3. Amherst will take on the Middies of Midview on Friday, while the Rangers will face Berea Mid Park. Again, Amherst 28, North Ridgeville 7. Olmsted Falls, they took on Westlake, and we know what Westlake can do. They're a pretty good offensive team. Olmsted Falls is a better offensive team, though. The Bulldogs scored 42 first-half points, scoring on the second play from scrimmage on a Teddy Grenzynski 42-yard touchdown run. Olmsted Falls would force Westlake 3 and out on the next series. Then the Bulldogs went on a 10-play, 89-yard touchdown drive, led by Luke Lombardo, that put the Bulldogs up 14-0. And on the third series, it was running back Jack Spelcy as he ripped off a 77-yard touchdown. The Bulldogs went up 21-0 in the first quarter. They made it 28-0 in the second quarter with a punt returned by Braden Galaska from 40 yards out. Westlake, though, they didn't give up in this game as Billy Blood connected with running back James Coleman on an 11-yard touchdown pass in the second quarter. They would put up 26 points, but their comeback fell a little bit short as Olmsted Falls would win this game 49-26. And the Bulldogs, though, they tallied 392 yards on the ground, led by Lombardo with 144 and 2 scores, while Jack Spelcy added 128 and 2 scores. Olmsted Falls improves to 2-1 and will host Lakewood coming up, while the Demons fall to 0-3, and they travel to Avon Lake. Again, it was Olmsted Falls 49, Westlake 26. Berea Mid-Park versus Lakewood. And Berea Mid-Park's offense didn't mess around, coming out and scoring 21 points in the first quarter thanks to touchdown runs by quarterback Trevor Bazinski of 7 yards and running back Bryce Agnew of 1 yard. Also a 7-yard touchdown pass from Bazinski to Luis Vega, the wide receiver, and one of his favorite targets. It was 42-7 at half, thanks to a special teams block kick for Berea Mid-Park that went 80 yards for a touchdown. And again, Trevor Bazinski with another outstanding game, throwing for 246 yards, 2 touchdowns, and running back Bryce Agnew ran for 95 yards on 14 carries and 2 touchdowns. The Titans improved to 2-1, while the Rangers fall to 0-3 on the year. Berea Mid-Park, they'll travel to North Ridgeville as Lakewood travels to Olmsted Falls. And that's your Southwestern Conference Week 3 recap. Guys, no real surprises there. Some really big offensive games this week with a lot of these guys. So congratulations, all of them. My player of the game is going to be Kennedy Scagliazzo. I think every week this guy keeps putting up numbers. The running back for Amherst, and this week, again, 33 carries. I mean, he's taken the load of for Amherst, 197 yards and 4 touchdowns. And let's give credit to the backup being ready. Scagliazzo most likely is going to be the guy that just carries the rock for Amherst. But Joey Tomorrow had 124 yards, and he's a junior, so he'll be there next year. I think that shows you where Amherst is. And, again, Mike Passarello is doing a great job there at Amherst to get this team 3-0. And they have a tough test next week against Midview, so that's going to be a fun one to watch and see what happens. But overall, Kenny Scagliazzo, my player of the week.
Well, he did well. I'd quickly like to give props to Berea Mid-Park for another victory because, we had mentioned last week these next couple weeks for them are going to be important for them to get wins because they're playing against teams who still remain winless, but then they had the meat of their schedules against Amherst, Midview, and Olmsted Falls, all which have winning records. Amherst and Midview both 3-0, so those are going to be tough games for them. So they have one more game against North Ridgeville, which those teams seem to always play well against each other. So props in Berea Mid-Park. They're taking care of business when they need to.
Yeah, they average over 50 points a game right now.
It's
what they're doing offensively is it's quite impressive, and they're going to need to keep that roll on, as you said, Josh. Against North Ridgeville, and then 2 undefeated teams at the moment. Maybe Amherst has struggled in years past, so it's great to see them stepping up. 3-0 right now. I'm very interested in seeing how they're going to play next week. Against Midview, that's going to be their first real test. Then you got Berea Mid-Park and Olmsted Falls afterwards, and then a very tough Avon Lake team. They're 1-2 right now, but you can never sleep on the Shoremen, for sure. So, this conference is always unique to talk about because they get into conference play so quick in the season, and it's always a grind for these guys. And you got one non-conference game, and then you're playing teams that you're used to seeing every single year.
And I look at a team like Berea Mid Park, and Josh, you're absolutely right. They have to really take advantage of their schedule right now. And that's not to discount any of the teams they're playing, but right now, Trevor Bazinski and that offense is just, they're clicking. And, everything that Coach John Hunick is dialing up offensively is working for that team. And defensively, they're allowing themselves to play fast and to allowing themselves to play, loose. And that's we saw it in the Westlake game. It was almost as if they made mistakes, but they didn't make the same mistakes over and over again. If they blew a coverage and got beat, they fixed it. So I think if you look at a team like Berea Mid Park, they're I think more of an X factor in this SWC, whereas you have your Avon, who is until further notice probably the team to beat in the SWC. But again, right on their heels, Midview, Homestead Falls, Avon Lake, and now Berea Mid Park, and I could even throw in Amherst now in that. So that's a meat grinder of a schedule for anybody. But I think this is gonna be a fun conference to follow throughout this part of the season, because now this comes down to, you see those teams separate themselves, and you'll see who the pretenders, and the contenders are. And I think Berea Mid Park is setting themselves up to be a team that could potentially make some noise, not only in the league, not only in the conference, but also in the playoffs as well, because you have a quarterback and a running back like Bryce Agnew and Trevor Bazinski. That's a tough two-headed monster to face. I don't care what kind of defense you have, because we saw Bryce Agnew just take off. If he gets clear, he's gone, and that's very, very impressive.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. They have a tough game against North Ridgeville. Could be a trap game. North Ridgeville plays tough. Not sure about Shamari Williams, so we'll have to see what his status is as well. But we'll step away. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we're going to get into the Suburban League, as Ed covers the National Division and Sean will cover the American Division. We have our Game of the Week. We'll give a recap on that a little later in the show. We're Sports on Tap. It's our Ohio High School football coverage. Week 3 recap. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.